Porter's 5 Forces model. This is a simple but powerful tool that you can use to identify the main sources of competition in your industry or sector. When you understand the forces affecting your industry, you can adjust your strategy, boost your profitability, and stay ahead of the competition. Every business student and manager have heard of the Porter's 5 Forces model, but today we are going to learn in detail everything you need to know about this model. Let us start with a brief introduction about this model. This model was developed by Harvard Business School professor Michael Porter in 1979. This tool is used to understand, assess, and analyze a business's competitive position. This model attempts to define attractive and unattractive industry in terms of profitability. It is important to keep in mind that this model works at the industry level, not at the corporate level. This model shows where an industry's competitive strength lies, and it also provides a framework for industry and business development. Now, how this model is used? Consultants and senior managers use this model qualitatively to evaluate a firm's strategic position. This model is the starting point of analysis. Later analysis might include value chain analysis. This model functions best in an industry where a market in which similar or closely related products and/or services are sold to buyers. This figure shows the 5 forces in Porter's model. As you can see, these 5 forces are threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, competitive rivalry, bargaining power of customers, and bargaining power of suppliers. Now we are going to discuss these 5 forces in detail. The first force is threats of new entrants. This is the ability of new firms to successfully enter the market, which is defined through the level of barriers of entry. Now these barriers of entry are driven by factors such as economies of scale, government influence, capital requirement, and cost of entry. Now if these barriers of entry are high, it will be very difficult for new firms to successfully enter into this industry. On the other hand, if these barriers of entry are low, then the new firms will find it comparatively easier to enter into this market. Now, what should be the strategy of your business to deal with this force, that is threats of new entrants? In this case, you should follow 2 strategies. The first is differentiation. The second one is cost leadership. Under differentiation, you should focus on the branding of your product, on the quality of your product, as well as the availability of your product. Under cost leadership, you should try to reduce the cost to discourage new entrants. The second force is threats of substitutes. This means existence of a product outside the realm of a common product. For example, the substitute which can be a threat for products like Coke and Pepsi is water, because water is a substitute for Coke and Pepsi. Now, this force is driven by factors such as number of available substitutes, cost of switching, buyers' inclination to substitutes, performance of substitutes. Now, if the number of available substitutes for your product is high, this is a threat for your business. If the cost of switching from your product to the other product is low, this is a threat for your product. If the buyer's inclination to the substitute is high, this is also a threat for your product. And lastly, if the performance of the substitute is better or equal to you, this can also serve as a threat for your product. So, what should be your strategy to deal with this force of threats of substitute? You should try to differentiate your product to meet various market segments and also focus on diversification. Now the third force is bargaining power of buyers. This is the ability of the buyers to drive down prices as well as to make the brands or companies play competitors against each other. The bargaining power of buyers is so strong force that many times it pits brands and companies against each other and leads to a price war between various companies. Now, the bargaining power of buyers is driven by factors such as number of or power of buyers, concentration of buyers, information available to buyers, and availability of substitutes. Now, if the number or power of buyers is high, it is a threat for your business. If the concentration of buyers is high, it is again a threat. If the information available to buyers is more or high, it is a threat for your business, as well as high availability of substitutes can also pose a serious threat to your business. Now, what should be your strategy to deal with this force, that is bargaining power of buyers? Your strategy should be loyalty promotions and broadening the channels of distribution. The fourth type of force is bargaining power of suppliers. This is the supplier's ability to increase price or reduce the quantity of the raw material that they provide to your business. The bargaining power of suppliers is driven by factors such as supplier concentration, existence of monopoly, differentiation of inputs, and ease of switching suppliers. Now, if the supplier concentration is high, it's good for you. But if the supplier concentration is low, it is a threat for your business as you don't have many choices. The existence of monopoly, again, it is not good for your business. It is a threat for you because if there is a monopoly, the supplier has a high bargaining power. Now, differentiation of inputs, this is good for you. If there is high differentiation of inputs, it means that you can use another input for your business. But if this differentiation is low, then it is again a threat for your business. And the last factor, that is ease of switching suppliers. If the ease of switching suppliers is easy and flexible, then it's good for your business. Otherwise, it is again a threat for your business. Now, what is the strategy which you are going to use? The strategy to deal with the bargaining power of suppliers is to have supplier flexibility, which means you should have relationship with many wholesalers so that you can use them in times of crisis or emergency. The second important strategy is to have backward integration. Backward integration is a process where you either merge or acquire the company which provides raw material for your business. The fifth and last force in the Porter's model is competitive rivalry. Competitive rivalry is the intensity of competition among existing competitors. Competitive rivalry is driven by factors such as size or strength of competitors, low entry barriers, high growth industry, high exit barriers, and high fixed cost. So, if the size or strength of your competitor is high, it is a threat for you. If the entry barrier in your industry is low, it is again a threat for you because many firms can enter this market or industry. If the growth in your industry is high, again it's a threat because it will attract more and more companies to enter into this market. If the exit barriers are high, again it will be a threat for you because once the companies enter into this market, they will find it difficult to leave it because of the high exit barriers. And last but not the least, the high fixed cost can also cause a threat for your business because once the firms invest a huge sum of money in the fixed costs, they will try to make profit and stay in the industry for the long time. Now, what should be your strategy in such case when you are going to deal with competitive rivalry force? First is positioning. You should try to place your product or service at a excellent point in the market based on your strength, and in this case you should try to employ differentiation and cost leadership. Continuous innovation is another strategy where you should continuously try to improve your products and services. Modifications is again a strategy where you should try to modify your features, design, and so on. And the last strategy is increase the marketing and advertising. So it means that you should focus on aggressive marketing, aggressive sales, as well as aggressive advertising, and using innovative methods of advertising to deal with the competitors. Now, what are the strengths of this model? The first strength of this model is that it is relatively easy to understand and simple to conceptualize. It appeals to managers and it can be used as a checklist. It is also essential in identifying key competitive forces which affect your business and try to build strategies for dealing with them. The second strength of this model is that it is used for predictive future industry structure or for developing future competitive strategies to deal with your competitors and stay ahead in the market. Now, the critics have also identified some weaknesses of the Porter's model. The first is that this approach can be costly for small businesses to use because of the high research cost. So, we can say that Porter's model is not very feasible for small businesses. Second is that this model lacks the impact of a strategic alliance. In a strategic alliance, two competitors or two leaders in the industry, they join together to form a bigger company. But Porter's model focuses only on eliminating the competition, therefore it can miss out on the benefits of a strategic alliance. The third weakness is that Porter does not have sufficient empirical support because he used selective case studies. So we cannot say that Porter's model is applicable in all the situations and in all the industries. The fourth weakness of this model is that this model was developed at a time when the rate of change in any given industry was relatively slow and manageable. But today, as we see that each of the industries are changing at a very fast pace. So in that scenario, we cannot say with 100% surety that Porter's 5 forces model would apply and succeed in all the industries. To sum up, the Porter's 5 forces model is important because it helps to analyze the firm's position in the industry and also adopt a strategy that will best fit in the situation to help the company stay ahead in the market. This model also affords the firm the ability to identify its competitive strength, to overcome weaknesses and threats, to develop new opportunities.